call the meeting to order. Ken, we have a couple people that aren't here. Ken is one of them, and so we do not have a new treasurer's report. And the second person, another person that's out, is Beth. Beth had a family problem, so she just called me to tell me she wasn't going to make it. Lisa is unable to come, and she said there's no update on her end, but we'll get to that when we get to the report. So we're going quickly down the list. So there's no treasurer's report, no minutes. So it's straight to project updates.
Can I, before we skip
Yep.
over treasurer's report, can I ask a question? Not necessarily about the report.
Slip me a five.
And I will
Yeah.
say, John,
Non-report?
there is a report that's posted in our notes that is the 25th of January. So it may not have any updates, but it is in our packet.
Oh,
Yeah, it was submitted.
okay. He did. I take that back. I'm sorry.
I don't want to
Yep.
question that.
Yep.
Ken would have to be there for that. But like, I know you and I emailed back in December about having more information about where the projects are at, how much they've requested of their, grant, and how much has been getting spent. Can we get that included in these reports so we know, what
In
bills
the
are?
treasurer's report,
Yeah, like I don't know if we.
I would
wanna-
say that's something when Ken is here, because Ken's the one that's going to have to do that. That would have to be that he would have to work with Mary to get that.
So you were telling me in December he was cleaning
He's
that up.
well. The problem is we're waiting on the Affordable Housing Trust to get the numbers that he wanted to do that, because he's trying to update all those projects and all of them, not just ours, but we don't have access to their information. So I talked to Fiona and then Amber, and I just emailed her yesterday just to kind of follow up her this morning, and I have not heard back to see where she is, but Fiona said that Amber's working on it. So I just wanted to get a status report on how they're doing getting that information. So
Okay.
they have to get that so that he can put that into
But that's
his
just a small
report.
part of all of it. So I'm
Right.
asking for a global picture of where all the projects are at, how much do they have left, like, so we can maybe track possible turnbacks, things like that. And then if it's possible, I don't know if that's part of that report I'm requesting, but I know the bills go through the chair, but we as a committee never really get to see them. We don't really understand what's happening. And I think that's kind of a big part of this committee. Is there a way we can get like all the bills you paid in December, in January, all the bills
So
you paid
is
in
that
January?
something that the committee would like to see, every bill that we pay?
I would love to see some sort of report, or like just a document saying, the
Okay,
Robinson
it's not
Properties.
gonna be a document.
You know-
It will be a printout from
That-
Mary's office.
That's
A
documented.
summary of the
Yeah.
budget for each.
That
Yeah.
would just
And
give
it
you
will
the
show-
current balance of.
and it
your
will
account,
show,
If you wanna know what's coming out
like,
of the account. that
It'll
was-
have count numbers and it'll say, this is what was approved, and maybe this is answering your question. This is the amount that was approved, this is how much is encumbered, this is how much has been expended, this is the balance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
that,
be great.
that's
And that's what she sends out.
and that's
That's
suitable
their
for my
financial.
desire.
What got me
So I can ask, Beth
Yep.
to include that.
And it'd be nice on a month-to-month basis, like for when
No,
we
I
have a
mean,
meeting.
it's every month
Yep.
they do that. So I'll just say include that in the packet.
Yeah, that'd be great. What got me thinking about this is watching the Affordable Housing Trust. Every bill that they have, the committee looks at and votes on. I'm not suggesting we need to do that. I'm not interested in that, but I would be interested in watching from when a project is approved to how the funds are going. It's it's part of what we're doing here. It's exciting to watch.
And just because something has like 90% of their budget at the last month before sunset doesn't mean we're getting all that turned back either. It just means the bill hasn't been approved yet. So,
Oh yeah.
but that
How does that work? What if a bill comes in after the sunset date and they still have money left?
John, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if the bill was incurred before the sunset, we can still pay it. But if it was incurred after the sunset, we can't.
But also, that they, like, if you have bills that for fiscal ending in on June 30th, they still give you a week or two because they know stuff comes in that it accrued in May.
Yeah.
You just didn't get a bill until the
Yeah.
end of June. So there is a mechanism, and then there's also a late mechanism that I don't know if we used to do it at special town meeting where you'd have to wait 6 months to get paid. Like for a telephone bill that didn't get in. I don't know how that gets rolled in now, if they're beyond that little window, cause there's a couple weeks window.
Okay.
But for the most part, I mean, we know the projects we extend the sunset, or the project's gonna be completed, and then there's a turn back.
Yep.
So it's, we've never had that problem, that, you missed getting that bill in, or we know, well, they're almost finished, and so you kinda done them, okay, we need the bill, we need the bill. Call your vendor, or,
I think we did actually have it happen once, like a year or two ago. I remember one project was a small amount that they got the bill afterwards. They didn't know, they weren't expecting it. Thought they had paid everything. I think that's the only time it's ever come up. But it's really incumbent on whoever is the rep for the committee to work with that, to make sure they're aware of those sunset dates.
Yeah, yep.
So, yeah.
So, but having that in the reports and constantly getting
Yeah.
reminders, that's important.
okay. All right, so I will ask Beth to make sure that that's included in the packet. So if we wanna, I'll back up. If you wanna take a look at the treasurer's report that Ken sent, he did ask if there were any proposals. I said not as of yet, but I know there are a couple that people have reached out to me that, the first one, or one of them, is regarding potential lighting at the pickleball courts on Ferry Street. The second one is for preservation work at the Congregational Church and masonry. They have the original granite
Yep.
steps, so that's two. And then the third one is this potential land purchase Upton Grafton line
Yep.
property. So
My-
no actual
Yep.
proposals, but
Yeah.
those are the only things that I'm aware of.
And my current guess on that Grafton Upton line property is it may not be prepared enough to be in front for town meeting in May, but I don't know. I haven't talked to Evan or anything else.
And that's something that, depending on how that, and I don't know if, is this appropriate to talk about it now, or do we want to come back later?
It's not on the agenda officially.
Okay, well, I mean, in terms of, this is a point of whatever, for conservation, in terms of how all this pans out,
So for us,
the
what we,
process.
for the process for us is fairly straightforward. We actually got a call from the Upton Conservation Agent to let us know what's going on. Upton's interested in doing it. We simply took a quick vote and sent a letter to the select board to say that we would recommend investigating purchase of this, and then it's really not us doing anything. We just made a recommendation.
They need to come back with you, okay, we've done this, we found out the value that we would like, or this
Right.
is the price X. So
Right, yeah.
basically, we're, the ball is in their court, we're waiting to hear back, but it is something that you guys were interested.
We were, because I don't know, it's separated from our Grafton open space by the railroad tracks, but it's adjacent. It's just that. It also then connects into, from a step back, it connects into Upton open space. So you get a really big track from a
Right.
purely, ecological standpoint. It's really a nice location that kind of pulls everything together. It's just the railroad tracks.
It seems like the Stowe Farm was also a similar, wasn't it, isn't that right? On the border with Upton, and Upton had the Upton State Forest or
Yeah.
something, and so.
They
you're-
also have
You're creating
Yeah.
corridors that are protected, so that as many of these as you can have, the better for
Yeah.
wildlife, for
Absolutely.
other purposes.
Absolutely, and it's a variety of ownerships. So
Right.
And process wise, typically planning board also gets a formal letter that it's going to be, that's looked to be withdrawn from the chapter 61A, I believe it is. And
So planning board is the one that has to say,
no, planning board gets a notice as well. We give a recommendation to the
Correct.
select board.
similar to what we do.
Yeah.
We vote on
The-
it and we do a letter.
Typically for the planning board, we've avoided as a board making any formal recommendations until we know a dollar amount. That's
Gotcha.
how the planning board is.
So,
typically.
and we usually do. We really look at what's adjacent to it. Does it make sense? It's not. We wouldn't recommend a half-acre lot that's not near anything.
Right.
So we look at that, and then our wording is usually more like investigating. It's not more. We're not. Yeah. But this one seems to fit.
Okay.
This committee in the past has also submitted recommendations along when they all come in to the select board, but I don't know if it's something that we consistently do or if it makes sense to do before the select board's decided, you know what I mean?
Right, and that's why I'm trying to find out what, as long as Justin, this is gonna come up to you again, right?
It, at some point,
planning?
it'll come to the planning board, yes.
So that you're the first committee that'll probably hear about it again, or conservation,
Probably
maybe?
between me or conservation would be
Yeah,
most likely to.
We don't always, we don't always get the feedback afterwards. We eventually find out, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
everyone's in town hall, we find out and so forth,
Right.
but, you know, we don't have that active of a role in it, other than our recommendations.
Can I make a recommendation? What is our drop dead date for the select board to notify us for funding of such a thing?
Well, that was what I was gonna get to, and I didn't know if we wanted to get that far down the road. The selectmen, as you know, can open the warrant at any time that they want. So even if it misses all of our deadlines, and we miss the deadline of 40 days prior to town meeting, they can say at day 28, we're gonna reopen the warrant. This is a warrant article that CPC strongly favors. They've identified funds to pay for it, and we're gonna add it to the warrant. So it's like, the selectmen have the final say on when we can put this proposal to them.
If you want.
And that's why I wanted to know who's kind of the one to make sure is listening for a potential project, that if this is, is this in the ballpark? If this is something we're interested in, it's a good thing when it's on the agenda to talk about it further, but I'm just wanting the process of what's the order
Yeah.
and of notification.
So in the package is our, notification from the Concom to the selectmen.
The
So that,
selectmen have not talked about it yet.
yeah, so that went out January 19th.
Okay, so it's just hot off the press.
Right, and so this came in through, the town administrator in Upton.
Yep.
It's at 87 Milford Road, and then we typically, and there's a paragraph there on why we recommend it. That it gets investigated because of, and it's in the ACEC, there's a whole series of things that we did, so that's the letter right there,
Okay.
so.
But back to my question, so the select board is not gonna be held to a deadline the way another typical applicant for CPC funding would be?
It depends on, and this is typically the projects that cause this issue are real estate. Because if you want to preserve your building, most likely it'll be there in 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
If land comes up and it's for sale, the tail wags the dog.
Okay.
And so we typically have done whatever it takes if we feel like, if conservation wants it, if planning wants it, if somebody's telling us this is something we really should have, we do what it takes to make sure the funding is there, and then we do the warrant article and get it either. I don't know if we've ever had a special town meeting just for property.
I don't
I don't know if we have, but it's like
Yeah.
we've almost had to. I know we've talked about some of the Robinson properties because we were concerned, so that
Yeah.
we're prepared to do that. But in terms of the cost and the logistics, it sure is a lot easier just to do it within the framework that we already have set up. But if they come in and it's within a reasonable amount of time that whomever needs to get whatever done before town meeting, and the selectmen are comfortable with it, or the town attorney is comfortable, whatever, if we feel like this is a project that is that important, we'll work, and we have to have extra meetings. It's us just having to meet extra.
Yep.
But other than that, it's
yeah.
I don't think this is a 61A.
Yeah, I know when there is a right of first refusal, I don't know if this is one of those, but
It's not that, you get 120 days.
yeah, it's a timeline once we get the notice of,
That
being
we
what
can
it
act
says,
on
right.
it, yeah. So, but that's, and I'm just reading it again, and Leah actually went through this with the commission, it's the heirs, and they're trying to dispose of the property.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be great, but since we do have a heads up on it, I didn't know if it made sense to maybe reach out to the select board, and be like, hey, if you are considering this, can you let us know by, if
Okay.
possible? But I don't know if that's even worth doing, knowing
I mean,
how.
can we vote on saying that, or
We can't vote on that
Can you
tonight.
strongly
Yeah.
suggest that I reach out to them?
I
Is that
strongly suggest that that's
it's
fine.
worth
Email
reaching
us.
out, yes, but we can't make any votes
Is Matt the chairman? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that, just so that they get it on an agenda.
Right,
sooner
just
than
so
later.
that
That's mostly
they
why.
know-
So they can talk about it, so that everybody
Right.
can start.
How big are these parcels? Does that say 11 acres? And 4.37 acres?
That's
I
roughly 11 acres at East and Grafton for 87 Milford Road.
Well, I will email Matt.
The-
And but they got this whole packet that
That
you
parcel
had.
there.
Yep.
Justin, that all that information went to all the selectmen already.
I am fairly certain, yes.
Okay. So I won't be saying something and they'll go, what? So this,
You can always include the letter we have from Concom
Right.
in your email,
and then
so
just
that
say,
he's
in
not.
reference to
Yeah,
this,
just-
that,
yeah.
you know,
Yep.
please keep us informed as you discuss this project because
is truly
in
the
terms of-
corner of Grafton.
of
Yeah, if
funding,
you want funding
this
opportunities.
is an important, we feel like, based on
Well, don't say we, just,
what
you know what I
I,
mean. Yeah. But, no, I think we're all in agreement just
Yeah.
to,
yeah, just to say, keep us posted, that we're want to make sure this is a front burner issue and that if any kind of decisions are made or if there's a timeline involved, please keep us posted so that we can do the grant process
Yep.
as much within the parameters that we have, the guidelines that we have set up.
for us, can I suggest to make this an agenda item just going forward? So
Yeah.
that if we do need to take an action, we
Yeah,
can just
just
vote, right,
add it.
no matter what,
Yeah.
yeah. And if not, we're waiting for an update, no big deal.
You mentioned the application deadlines for projects that are looking to get funding in May. What is that deadline? Is it February?
We talked about it at the last meeting, cause I
Yeah,
was
don't
looking at my notes when I was talking to Donna and, I said, well, it said, don't change. Don't change. Cause we said February 1st. Cause we talked about the 15th, we talked about, 2 weeks, and then I just wrote, don't change. So it's staying the 1st. And as I've told her and we tell everybody, submit your application, attend the meeting in February. If you're missing documents, if you're missing things, the questions at that meeting will let you know what you still need to provide. That there are questions that you might have or funding sources you maybe didn't mention, or that we have a suggestion over improving the application to include it, because I said make sure, because their project is a bigger project than what they're asking for, because it includes painting. And I said, that was the first thing when she emailed me, I said, we don't do painting. I mean, that's all I said. And she said, oh no, that's not what this is about. So, but that way, if more bids come in, because you said they're getting like 7 or 8 bids, and I'm like, wow, I've never heard of that before. But if you only have 3 and you have 7 at the next meeting, all the better. It's like,
Yep.
just provide us that, and that gives you an extra month to get the additional information that is either requested at the meeting or that comes in that makes your application strong. So, okay.
I did talk to someone about the Ferry Street lights too. I had heard about that, and I sent them a message recently saying, "Hey, that deadline's coming right up. Are you
Right.
planning?" And they never heard back from them. So
Well, my response was that you really need to work with Recreate. I strongly recommend that you work with Conserv.
Outdoor
I
lighting?
strongly recommend that you work with Recreation Commission as well.
One of us over here.
Yeah,
somebody work with somebody.
Not
And
me.
let us know.
No, but I said that this is their responsibility, their maintenance.
That's what I was gonna ask
and I
you,
said
how could
that-
a
that this-
resident put that forward if it's property that
Well,
is
that's
town
just
property?
it. It's like I said, that even if we think it's a wonderful idea, it needs to fit within their plan, but they also are gonna monitor and maintain that. It's like if it's for lighting, it's like they have a plan for the lighting at the high school. I don't know if that's the high school that does that, if Recreation, I don't know how any of that works, and that's why I said you really need to talk to Recreation, because they're the ones that are this is their baby and you're adding to their baby. So I'm sure they would be happy to have that as an amenity, but you need to make sure you're doing what they want to do, and you need to be working hand in hand to make this happen. So
Yeah, and in the same kind of vein, it's like just because it's town property doesn't mean anyone can put something they want on
Right,
you know,
right,
like
right.
you can't put a golf course, you know,
Right.
on.
And I mean, but I said, it's like, you don't wanna have, even if we said this is a wonderful idea and it got approved, somebody at town meeting saying, oh, but by the way, what does the Recreation Commission think? And they'll say,
You can't really propose.
No, I know,
work
but I'm
on
just
someone
saying,
else's
yeah,
other
it's,
property.
we
That's
really
just
need
basic.
buy-in from all these different groups
Well, I would,
and town.
yeah, but
staff.
I would think that as a requirement for our application, the person responsible or party responsible for the property has to sign, has to be part of that
Right, well,
application.
that's just it, it's like, they don't own the property, so they can't say,
Correct, yeah, yeah.
Apple
be
Tree
a
had to do
problem.
that with the townhouse, and
Yeah.
we worked in tandem with the town.
right. So,
And usually it's like,
I-
great, you're looking to help us,
Right.
but it has to
you
go
know,
through
it's
that
like if they're
process.
gonna do all the legwork, if they're gonna get bids, I mean, I think the Recreation Department will be happy that you're doing all this work for them, and all they've gotta do is sign right here, you know? They review it, they say, yes, it's wonderful, we have a budget, or we think that this is the way it will work within our plans. Cause I said, you know, that's great, because like right now, if it's not raining, you know, you can't play after 3:30 or 4. And in the winter months, if it's dry and not snowy, you've just expanded the 2 pickleball courts double the time because people can play till 9 or
Just,
whatever time.
just whenever you do something like that, there's always, things people don't always consider, and that is, you don't want it open till 11 o'clock at night. You don't
Right.
want it, there's other things, it's oh, great, let's do it, but usually there's some sort of
But that's why I want
guidelines and
recreation to have,
requirements and all those type of things.
they need to be involved
They're
because
responsible
they know
for it.
what their policies are, and they know
Correct.
what's the right thing, and what that doesn't work and creates problems
Right.
or is the best solution, so.
And,
It's
yeah,
like,
and-
wonderful idea, but the channel is this way.
Yep, that's pretty straightforward.
So,
and I, to echo too, is like, I wouldn't be in support of putting something to town meeting if the property owner who's responsible for the property is not on board.
no, because we did that with historical commission wanted to have a historic district, a national registered district in North Grafton at where the karate church, the karate church, the old
Yes.
Baptist church
New England
was.
Village.
New England Village, and the property owners, the mill, Washington Mills family, owns most of that. With all the residential, all that
Yep.
is probably 90% theirs. They did not want that, so at that point we said no. And then the consultant that was working with us said, "We, as a consultant, I can't recommend even spending any more time on this because if
Correct.
they don't want it, we're not gonna fight, you know, it's one thing if it's a Statue of Liberty and you're
Yeah.
fighting the owner that says, no, I don't want, this is, you know, a local neighborhood. It's, you wanna do what the neighbors want, if they're gonna, if this is what they
It
want.
has a lot of impact to homeowners, property owners,
Right.
when you're in a district like that. And sometimes,
Well, the National
that's right.
Register District, you can still tear everything down, it's just, it's
It's a process.
it's scary because people don't realize that.
Yeah.
That a lot of this, I've always, as I learn, it's a good housekeeping seal of approval. It meant we put our stamp on that. This is great. This is worthy of identification. This is worthy of preservation. But you can tear it down tomorrow.
There's also delays, it's a little more complicated on the permitting side, whenever you have something on the.
Right. It's adding a layer, and if
It's
they want to
adding-
do
It's
something,
adding time, it's
Yeah.
adding a year of
Right.
time, so.
and so it's like, okay, even though, and that was while the church was still there. We thought this was important because it was the most intact New England village
Is it working?
in the Blackstone Valley, a working New England village. And to have the church there and have all the housing and the mills. And it was like, you know, if that's not what they want to do, we have to go along with what they, you know, what can we do? You know, so back to the agenda. Project updates. Eric's not here, so no Affordable Housing Trust. Any update from Candy?
No, I haven't heard from her since last night. I didn't expect to either.
Okay.
They're working on it. Green Dragon has some of
Yep.
the stuff, so.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about that project? How close to the sunset date do you guys wait to vote to extend it? Because it sunsets in June. Both of those articles.
Did we end up adding a sunset date to that? Because it didn't used to have one.
I thought for Candies,
Yeah.
Candies never did.
It
I
totally
think
does.
the
mean, we-
most recent
it
one
may-
we did add it, and I think it's the
Change.
committee that.
now.
It may be changed then,
All
because
do now.
because
Yeah.
we knew when Maureen Clark was there, and that's been quite some time ago, that she may get all the money spent this year. Otherwise, it might take 5 years to get that money spent.
Right.
So we didn't put timelines on it because we knew they would get to it when they got to it. So
I'll
if
reach
you
out
would
to
reach out to
Candy,
her and
yeah.
say, you know, and I'll put that as a
And that is one that we can extend, correct?
Yep. I believe so.
and that's just by vote. Because
Yeah.
we did change that.
Yeah,
to
that's what I
vote.
was-
That's don't have to go back to town meeting.
That's
but,
what I was checking.
And I don't know if that was why we did that, because we can change it
I think
rather than having to go through the process of going back to town meeting.
my
to
memory
change
was
it.
that yes, we added the sunset because we were able to change it ourselves.
So
Exactly.
I just didn't know how close we
Yeah.
want to bump up to that. Do we wait till our June meeting? Do we take care of it early? I didn't know.
I'll find out what the scoop is with her now, because I imagine she has a good idea whether or not she's going to be done by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gravestones again. The snow just melted, but it's coming back supposedly Sunday. Grafton Common, are we
So
almost?
we put in a, well, we want to have a sign, just commemorating the project, and we didn't want to have a traditional sign when there's already signage around there. So what we're going to do is we're having a boulder. We're going to have a bronze plaque mounted on it, and we actually had a piece of granite that was at the Fisherville Mill site that was donated to us. So we have it in place. It's by the south entrance of the common, just inside the entrance there on the right. And we're working with, I think we're sticking with Sunshine Sign, but we're working with them to finalize the wording and whatnot. We're looking to have a little bit of history on there, and you know, it's going to be a bronze plaque, so it's not like you have all the room in the world, but want to have a little bit of history and commemorate, you know, what the project was about and where the funding came from. So hope to get that done in the spring. We did hear back from the AAB. The executive director has given us the guidance that they consider the step to be that guideline, regulation, whatever you want to call it, to be de minimis. It's one step. And actually, if you look at the regulations in 521 CMR, I think it's section 27, it actually says stairs. It doesn't say steps. And then when you look at the definition of stairs by Webster's, it's a set of steps. So it's questionable whether or not this would even meet the definition in the regulation. And I think that's why they consider it de minimis, because it's not worth it for them to pursue. And it's not the type of thing that they want to use their resources giving variances on either. So we haven't even discussed this really yet fully at the Historic District Commission. We'll be doing that at our next meeting and determining our next steps, which I imagine, this is just my opinion, that we'll probably go to the accessibility, they changed their name.
Accessibility Commission, I think.
Commission, all right. Go to them. Bob Berger, the building inspector's on there too, so we'll run it by them, and ultimately we'll have to go to the select board, but one step at a time. So we're getting there, progress.
Can I ask about what the sunset date on this project is? Because I know it was 21, and I think it was voted to be changed. But does anyone know?
The funds were encumbered on it for the contractor, so
And
it
that's
was-
another thing that
it's-
extends it beyond.
yeah, because they were
sunset.
encumbered, but I've never had a situation where, you know, we've now completed that with the contractor. But we still have open things on the project that came up during it. So I don't think you can sunset when you've got encumbered funds and you know of, two things that are left. But if we need to extend it, we can certainly do that. We may even be done by May, but that'd be probably cutting it close.
With the weather, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd rather leave us a little wiggle room, but we should definitely be able to wrap things up either way, by the end of this summer. I guess, yeah. So it'll be all done, which would be nice. Love to have it finished. That's where we're at.
Okay. Any updates on 95 North Street?
It's out to bid. So I talked to Leah about it, and I asked if they'd gotten any bids in yet. I forget. She told me the closing date. In that,
February 19th.
yeah, it isn't for a few
February.
weeks. Yeah.
And is it the same
So,
dock, different docks?
well, the docks were not completed previously, so it's whatever kind of adjustments. It still has the components in it. There's alternatives in it, but they need to get a bid to find out what's going on. So, and I think fortunately for them, or for us, the bidding climate's changing now.
Is it still roughly the same scope that we?
So the entire scope is in there. It depends upon what comes back for bids. So basically, there's series of alternates in it, and so the way you do a bid like that is, here's your base, and then here's the add-ons, and depending upon what the price comes in, you basically have to go in order. That's kind of the
So
law and
it's
stuff.
it's 500,000 add-on A or one.
Yep.
And so you have to do one before you do two.
Correct.
Before you do three. So you're
Correct.
prioritizing what
Right.
you want. 1, 2, 3.
Right, and I actually haven't seen that. I mean, I can get that and share it.
So what do you think's changing with the contractor environment?
Not as many projects out there,
Really? So there,
so
a
it's
little more
it's
competition, better pricing, maybe?
the best way for me to explain it is it's not as crazy as it has been. So it's not gone. It's just not, there's certain consultants that we use that are early kind of canary in the, coal mine type of things.
Right.
They're slowing down. The folks, sometimes it's land surveying, this was upfront permitting, those folks are slowing down. So it could be different sectors that are slowing down, but it's not that, it's still not hot, it's just not blistering the way it was, throwing everything off.
We may stand a better chance.
So I would think it might be a good time, and this could only be a phase, could be 3 months or whatever. So I don't know for sure, but I'm interested to see if it's a little bit better bidding than it has been.
Are they already out to bid? Is that what you said? Or are they
Yes,
going out?
they're already out, yeah.
Okay. When are they doing?
February 19th.
Good timing to do it.
Yes, obviously,
Anytime.
you try to
Time
do
of
it
year.
right after the first, when it's still winter time.
Yep.
Yes, that's the best time
They're
to
looking
bid,
for-
typically.
We'll meet again after February 19th too, right? So there might be.
Yes.
Because that's school
Awesome.
vacation week. So I think that is the week of our meeting. But
But still, that's a Monday, so we'll meet that Thursday. So
Yeah,
hopefully-
but it's that week.
Cool, cool.
Because it's an
Yeah, I don't know.
So meet the 22nd.
Possibly.
Like the first is on a Thursday, I
with the
think.
new
So
scope.
it comes quick.
Yeah,
quicker.
so we should also just confirm on the bidding process, meaning you have a close of date, and then there's a reading of it, and then there's, and if there's any appeals or any, that kind of stuff. It's all done through state law.
Yeah. We'll at least know how many bids came in by the.
And I actually asked that question, and Leah says, "Oh, I don't know. I will only find out at the end."
Yeah.
So,
Adam had just told me several people requested them, whatever that means.
well, yeah, that's
Requested
yeah.
are-
Not an
RFP.
actual number, but
Hopefully, you always have a good number requesting. That doesn't mean everyone will submit. So,
That answers the question I've had, John. Is it the last Thursday or the fourth Thursday that we meet? It's the fourth. Okay.
Fourth.
Then you are correct. The 22nd will be when we meet.
and I am,
You say that like I've never been correct in my life.
yeah. and
I
I'm
just
I'm-
didn't
not
know.
far
I
from
could
the
never
truth.
remember if we were
It's
the
not far
fourth
from the truth.
Thursday or
But
the
you just
last.
don't throw it out there like that.
I actually happen to be on vacation
Okay.
today,
Okay.
or
so
that week, I should
I'll
say.
put that down.
I'm hoping to be too.
Yeah, I'll be in
Uh-oh.
Florida, so.
Okay, so if that's the case, then following week is it's still
I'd be able
February.
to still attend. I'm not
It's-
going away. It's a staycation.
Okay, but it's the 29th. Will you be back or not? That's the
I
following.
will. I actually am coming back the 24th, which doesn't help you. Wait a minute. No, I'm in the wrong. Forget it. I'm in the wrong month. Sorry. Let me go back. Let me get to the right place.
Because there's 5 Thursdays in February because we start early and we have an extra.
Leap year.
Yeah.
Let's just meet more than once.
It is a sucker for more meetings.
I love meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
nobody's gonna
just
say
wait
yes to
until
that.
we have to start.
Extra day. Got to have a meeting.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, yay, we don't have to meet. Yeah, I could stay.
I'm
on
actually
this
coming
call.
back the 22nd.
Okay, so is that
So
the
you'll be here.
29th then
Yes.
okay?
Coming back to the meeting. That's
Yeah,
why.
I don't know
I'm
that
back.
you want to come back.
It's actually a morning flight, so
No, don't kill yourself. I'm
You're
joking.
good.
yeah. Well, I can't control what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm
You're
back.
planning
home
to
at-
come back.
I'm planning to be back and be at my house by noontime, but that doesn't always mean.
The airlines haven't consulted your schedule yet.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
I don't. It's to me. I put the whole day down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll stick with the regular.
And then if there is any issue with quorum where we can't hold it, we have enough time to post another meeting
Yeah,
for the
but I don't think because you said you're not going away.
No,
So
I'll be
you
here.
still come.
I
Okay,
could
so
do either.
it shouldn't be a problem.
Either one would be fine.
Okay.
And yeah, depending upon how early I get in. And I'm on vacation. I shouldn't be that tired.
Yeah.
Plus, there's 3 people absent tonight that hopefully will be
Yeah.
available.
That's rare.
Yeah.
UUSGU.
Yeah, I I followed up, but I haven't heard back from. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? My contact there. At any rate, I know that they were looking to finalize that first part of the the planning phase of their project. So I'm hoping that that'll get resolved within the next month or two. I will follow up with him again if I don't hear from him by the end of the week. I do know that they are planning on moving forward with the next phase, and I suspect they may be coming to us for funding, but I haven't seen any.
For the actual elevator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so that they're aware, this also sunsets in June.
Thank you.
Anybody want to guess what I've been working on?
You've been working on a vacation, it sounds like. She wants these nice sunsets.
It would be nice to have a spreadsheet with just a tracking mechanism. Doesn't have to be fancy.
No. I can send you this template. It's just a little bit of a, like, when it was voted, how much it was for, and it's sunset, but then I have room to write my notes, and it's just nice for each meeting to, then I can look back on it. I'll send it to you guys.
It's Ted Beauvais. That's whose name I was thinking of.
And North Park, it's a weather, it's the springtime, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not spring today.
It's gonna
Does
be.
feel like it.
I might like
It was
jacket.
50 degrees.
After how cold it's been, it feels like it.
Oh, but yeah,
Top of
yeah.
the ground is very soft, but probably the 5 inches down is solid again.
Yep.
Even with that cold, it's surprised how long it takes to get deep frost.
No, because it's like my basement still has a little creek because it's not frozen far enough.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Lisa indicated there was no update on the rental assistance for the housing authority, so no update, or that is the update. And then they're still working on Robinson property. So, and I'm sure again that'll be a weather kind of a thing too. So that'll be more of a springtime thing that they would finish. So
What about the library cupola?
the library director. What's her name?
Beth
Told me
Schreiber,
what to do.
Beth Schreiber retired from
Beth?
well, not retired, but left
Beth
that role.
Left, and so that was we've been for the last several weeks been trying to have a meeting for the library building committee, and we were supposed to have one this coming Monday, and that fell through. Believe it or not, it's still you have conflicts trying to get people together, even by Zoom. So, I don't have an answer for that,
Okay.
because they wanted to know who's doing the report, the annual report.
Yeah.
And I
We-
said, oh,
We should make sure it gets added to the agenda for our next meeting,
okay,
because it's not on there.
that's my fault. Let's see. And then I will, my understanding is though, and this is a little bit of an update, is that for Mass Board of Library Overseers, or whatever the proper term for the state is, that you have to have a library director. They can't have it just sitting vacant, otherwise you lose certain funds, operating funds. So, I don't know if they're voting next week, or if this has already been decided and then just gonna be decided, that Evan was gonna take on that title
I-
temporarily, but they had to have an agreement between the Board of Trustees, because there's a problem of then who's the boss kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
I-
Because they don't want then the town administrator saying, I'm managing a rent, because it's the Board of Trustees of the library that really do decide and make all the decisions for the library. So they're just trying to make sure that in that limited role, that he still reports to the Board of Library Trustees. And in the interim, up to now, since she left in October, I believe William has been filling in, and there are other staff that they have not replaced, I guess, or have left. So they're department heads, so those people kind of would rotate and help, and so there are fewer of those, and so they've had to cut back on hours. So until they can, and I did ask earlier this week, I saw, Roger Trahan, and he said that has now, within the last week, everywhere you post for library directors, that's been posted. So hopefully within a month or 6 weeks, I don't know how long that process is, they will start interviewing and hopefully get someone hired and on board.
And I could be wrong, but I think you need either a certification or some sort of degree, I forget which it is, to be a director of a library.
I mean,
In
That's-
this state, I could be wrong, but I thought I read something about that at some
I
point.
have no idea. I mean, because I'm sure the state has a lot of requirements, and that was one of them. But to get funding, you have to have a director.
Yes,
So they were concerned that they could lose funding just, even though they're saving money by not paying staff, that you lose money by not having staff.
Right.
And then if you start having reduced hours, then that affects it as well. So that's one thing I didn't even pop into my head. I can ask Roger. I mean, and I think he would know. But it's like, I don't know who's juggling those balls. If William, I mean, I can ask William, and
But you're handling it on our end. You're gonna stay on top of
I
the.
will. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll try to be, since there's not a real definitive person that's doing this, I will keep in touch with William and Evan to kind of make sure that they know that we're looking for information,
Yeah.
and that to funnel it through me on any kind of updates on how that's. But I would say, and I don't know how they're going to handle that, since there's nobody there to do it.
You'll probably have some answers by next meeting, whether they're bigger answers or small.
Right, but it's still, because that's relatively new, that she resigned, like, first of the year, I guess. I think, or Christmas.
I
right-ish.
thought it was a little before Christmas, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, maybe it was, like, right, because I sent her a text, Happy Hanukkah, hopefully I'll see you in the new year, and she said, I don't think you will, I just
like, "Read
resigned
this."
yesterday. I said, no.
So it's safe to assume the cupola isn't moving forward anytime
So at
soon.
this point, yes, it's like for multiple reasons, it's,
Is that
in a
gonna affect
holding
any of the other funding sources that she had lined up, though, like the grants and the that's the part I would be worried about.
They would have
Mass Preservation
'cause
Projects
of the-
funding
right?
has deadlines.
Kidding too?
the applications are due in March and
No, but they got that
so
money.
they already have it, so, yeah, typically.
But you also have to spend it by June 30th,
yeah, you
typically,
have
of
a
that year.
Typically, once you get it, by June 30th.
So, and I'll
Just,
you have to
just putting
doc-
it on somebody's radar in the library camp so that that doesn't get messed up would be good.
And those grants are a lot of work, because not only, you know, it's a lot of work filling out the application and just getting it, but then once you get it, you have to actually put together a whole binder with a chronicle of the whole project and what's been done, and then there's a set format you have to have for it. It's a ton of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah. So it's like, unless there's
Did
a
it
lot of,
twice. It's a lot of work.
unless you're getting a lot of money,
Yeah.
you know, for $20,000, it's, people go, you know, we'll go.
I think she's getting like 75,000
It was 50, I
from,
think.
Yeah, when you get up to that,
75
it's
from
worth
the
it for
state.
that
It was
amount, but
50
it is
that was
targeted.
set aside from the library board of trustees, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and you don't get the money if you don't put together the
And it's,
report.
it's, right, it's, you pay first, I don't know.
It's reimbursement, yeah.
Reimbursement, that you pay and we reimburse, so.
But they won't reimburse if you don't do the report.
Right.
So,
Or they were up to a point and then they don't give you your last,
Yeah.
if you don't get
and they have
whatever.
to come out and visit. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Anyway,
Okay, all right,
I move we adjourn.
second.
have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Nice timing.
Aye.
Declare the motion carried at 7:47. I don't know that Jim Gallagher
may be a
ever beats
record.
that record, beat that record.
May rest in peace.
I half expected to see Jim Gallagher pulling up when I came to this meeting.
It's like
today.
the
As-
oddest times I think about him, you know, for the odd, you know, not for the. what
The
you
last
would-
time I saw him, I remember he had smoked a cigar on
And
the
he
hallway,
smelled
and
like
he
he
left the
gives you a
cigar
big
out
hug
there,
and
the
he
whole
smelled the
hallway
cigar.
smelled like, Jim!